Alright, what's going on today, guys? Figured I'd turn the camera around, say good morning. Thanks for commenting on the last couple of videos. Hope you Volkswagen guys like those. Some guys asked for those type of videos. There are some older videos, if you go and look at the old stuff, that you can look at too. So, got a crank out for the bus today, and we're gonna mic it out. Went ahead and polished it up with some mechanic cloth there. This type of stuff. Cleaned up the journals and put it in the old safety clean out there and washed it up. And it looks like a pretty nice one. It's an original German. This is the crank that was in the motor. This is actually the motor we drove to Drag Night, South Carolina, and wounded. And that was a brand new crank. It's a cast crank though, and I don't want to put a cast crank in a friend's car, so I'm going to upgrade the crank to a German. It's much better quality, and not that I had any problem with that. And that one's balanced to those rods, so we'll just leave that as an assembly. And we're going to go with some OEM stuff over here, some German stuff. And I got the book out. Thanks to VW Rich, appreciate it. And he was kind enough to donate these books to me. I worked for Scooter for 15 years, and I don't think I was allowed to touch the without guesswork books. So standard is 50 millimeter. I have this converted over to inches, so we'll give her a little check. And I've already checked it, and it's a nice tight standard. So this will be a really nice crank, and you can hear it squeaky. People check these different ways. I was always taught to hear it squeak a little bit, you know, and some guys like to barely have it touch the crank. And you're not going to hurt this surface with a mic unless you really over tighten it. Anyway, this one feels really nice. We'll go ahead and use this one. I got a set of rebuilt rods. I got the piston cylinders together last night, so those are ready to go. And we got the cam gear and stuff bolted on the cam. We'll build the crank. I'll get it set off to the side, and then we'll prep the case next, and we'll go over a few things on the case. I had to get it line board and stuff like that. So another thing I wanted to point out was a buddy of mine has a bus, and he is looking to put a transmission in it. So he had me call around to a couple people yesterday, and I called Rancho, was one of the companies that I called for a freeway flyer for a bus. And these guys here, man, I'll tell you what, they have great customer service there. I just wanted to put that out there. You don't always run into that, you know. Customer service seems to be gone nowadays, and I called about 3 places, and when I got a hold of Rancho, I called them last, and it wasn't really a price thing, you know. I was looking for information, and I've already put a 5-rib tranny in this bus, and it still seems to go down the road with excessive RPM. The tack is no good that's in the bus. We put a brand new tack in there, and it's reading inaccurate. So I'm going to bring the bus back and get some more information, the number off the tranny, the tire size. I'm going to put a proper tack in it, see if we can get an accurate RPM, and see what's going on. I called a couple people, and not everybody shared the same information with me. I think I did a video when we put the 5-rib in there. The 5-rib's actually a later model transmission. We had to shorten the output shaft on it, and we put it in the bus, and it really didn't seem much different to me, other than when you let the clutch out in first gear, it seems like the bus is going to just stall, you know. So first gear is definitely longer. And after talking to Rancho, I suspect fourth gear is probably longer too. Apparently a 5-rib has a 457 and ring and pinion, and that's what they do. They put the 457 ring and pinion in the early model Type 2 box, and it makes it a freeway flyer. So basically we already have a freeway flyer, and the guy could have sold me a transmission, and instead of that he went over all the gear ratios with me, told me what to check for, get a little more information, and call him back, and he would give me some options. And I appreciate that, because you don't find that too much anymore. A lot of guys would have been shipping me a tranny today. So if I do need a tranny, or if I buy a transmission for this particular bus, it'll definitely be from Rancho. And I build my own transmissions for my personal cars, you know, for street cars and stuff, but I'm going to need a tranny for my race car. And I talked to them about that, and it's a different type of transmission, and I wouldn't attempt to build that here. I don't have the equipment that it takes to set it up, and or the parts. You know, it's just an expensive deal. So I'll probably end up pulling the tranny out of the race car and sending it out there to them, and let them take it apart, see what I have, and see if they can duplicate it and freshen the one that I have. And that'll give me 2 trannies. So it was really cool to talk to somebody that took the time and explained stuff, because I don't always pretend to know everything. When I talk to somebody, it's usually the opposite. I pretend to know nothing so I can see what they know. You know, I try to listen instead of talk, and it was a pretty good conversation last night. And you don't find that too much anymore in the old Volkswagen world, so pretty cool. Anyway, stand by the heater, thought I'd throw that out there. Let me dig some rods up for this bad boy, and get some timing gears. And I need a crank gear, a timing gear, and a snap ring, and a dowel, or a key. And I'll find all that stuff. I got a donor crank over here I might use. And we'll get back on this build. I'll get the case and the stand, and maybe tonight or tomorrow we'll start snapping this thing together. So you guys have a good day, and I try to make the best of it. I did want to point one thing out. One of the guys I watched was having a starter problem on a Chevrolet, and I dug this bracket up. This particular bracket's for this big block here, but this is really overlooked on a lot of builds. I mean, I know a lot of guys are building LS motors nowadays, but some guys still got the old stuff. I don't know, this camera's going to work over here. Here's where the starter bolts on this particular model. You know, you have the 2 bolt patterns, side by side, big block. We've got this high torque cast iron antique baby here. But a lot of people don't know that this is a starter bracket, and if you don't incorporate this bracket right here, the starter will want to kick off the block, and not only will it not mate with the flywheel very well, but it puts a lot of load on this section of the block. Once this is cracked or compromised on a small block or a big block, you know, you're sort of limited to what you can do as far as a repair. But what I found in the past, you can get an ARP. They're not very expensive. You buy the stud and put the stud in the block and use a nut and incorporate this bracket here, and you should have no issue, even if you've got a repair there. I had a small block 400 that had the flex plate explode, and it actually blew the starter off the car. Second pass after I freshened the motor, and I refused to give the motor up. So I JB welded the cam plug on the back of the block and welded that up and put a stud in, and it worked quite well. And that had 13-to-1 compression with the locked out distributor, and never had an issue. But you can get these brackets at GM, you can still get them, and it's a nose cone bracket from the starter to the block. And those are pretty cool. They almost eliminate any starter issues that you'll have at all with the Chevrolet. And when you buy the starter, a lot of parts stores don't tell you, but they have a little gauge, just a little piece of round steel, and you can put it between the Bendix and the flywheel, and it's the way you shim the starter, and you don't have to guess on the shims. You just shim it to that rod, and it'll start perfect every time. So anyway, there you go, a little tip of the day. Oh, another tip of the day, never use self-rising flour to do gravy with.